Hey, and welcome to the broadcast of Glue Monday. Yeah, wow, we're in the second week of July, the second full week. Welcome to Glue Monday. If this is your first time on the broadcast, Monday was born from Glue Wednesday, which Glue Wednesday was born from people always saying the cliche that Wednesday was hump day. See, in the old school, we only considered Monday through Friday as the week, and then the weekend was a whole nother thing. So it was always said that Wednesday was the hump day to get over to get toward the weekend. And now I've done with my word sensitivity is change that, or not change it, added to it, and saying that Wednesday is the middle of a traditional 7 day week. So it's actually doesn't matter whether you work Monday to Friday because most people these days, not everybody works Monday to Friday anyway. So I've said it that Wednesday is the day that keeps the week beginning and the week end together. So it's the glue. So it's Glue Wednesday, and GLUE is God's love undoes everything. During the pandemic, what I've done is extended Glue Wednesday to both ends. So it's now Glue Monday and Glue Friday, as well as Glue Wednesday. So if this is your first time, now you know where the glue came from. But GLUE is God's love undoes everything. Not that it tears things apart, but that it'll put things together for you the way they need to be put together. So welcome to the broadcast. I always come on early to give Facebook a chance to build the audience. So, excuse me, right now, we've got less than 2 minutes to go for our message today. And I see we've got 4 viewers on and 1 thumbs up. Okay, I just don't know who it is. So feel free to identify yourself. Oh, there we go in the comments. It's on a delay. Hey, what's up, Tony? Yes, you are. Yes, you are the first one on. Thank you. All right. Okay, put that question in the. Yeah, give us some headline once you do that. Okay, people. So we've got less than 2 minutes to go for today's message, and I'm doing a combination. One of the reasons, if you see me looking to my left, is because I've got the other monitor going. Because since it's on a time delay, hey, what's up, Roger Carroll? Since it's on a time delay, this way I can sometimes catch a remark right when it happens, and that might be the best way to I might be able to address something that's going on. Because sometimes what I do is I look in the chat or the thread after the broadcast is over. We've got less than a minute to go for today's message. I look in the chat or the thread, and somebody say, "Yeah, I know that's right," and then I crack up laughing because I don't know when they said that. See, the technological world still needs us personally. Okay, so that's actually one of the things that you want to be able to do. And I actually remember a speaker years ago saying that the key was to find ways to, he said the hot topic was how you can personalize technology. God, that was back in the late 90s. Okay, and so it still stands true. So I'm glad to have heard that. So we've got less than a minute to go for today's message. And I just want to, again, welcome you all on today. And let's see, my other computer is deciding to go slow, so I can't really see the real time, but I'll just deal with the comments here. And because meanwhile, bam, it's 1 o'clock here. So let's go with what we've got. And let's go with today's message, which is, can you add? Can you add? But I also say that can you add? It stands for ADD. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on and let it start a watch party too. Let's see if we can get everything going at one time. I just noticed that I have that option. So hold on a second. Let me go on and do that. I wonder how that affects y'all. Okay. Anyway, ADD. I wanted to make the point that ADD, attention deficit disorder, is a neurological disorder that causes a range of behavioral problems, such as difficulty attending to instruction, focusing on schoolwork, keeping up with assignments, following instructions, completing tasks, and social interaction. And the reason I want to read the clinical definition, because I say, let's not let the pandemic sweep mental health awareness under the rug. Let's also see rules. Okay, let me see if I can turn that volume down over there on my other phone, other thing. Okay. Okay, so yeah, let's not let the pandemic sweep mental health awareness under the rug, because we do have to continue to recognize that, as well as realize that sometimes. Come on, man. Can you hear it repeating it? Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so there we go. So I wanted to get rid of that echo. All right. So where was I? Yeah. So anyway, like I said, I want to make sure that we still recognize that mental health challenges are going on, as well as they may, imagine the people who are having mental health issues, how they're dealing with the pandemic. In fact, how are you dealing with anybody who you may know had a mental issue, such as depression or suicidal ideation? Still check up on your friends regardless. Okay, thank you, Roger Carroll. Yes, still check up on your friends regardless of what's going on in your life, because it didn't end. Oh, ooh, we got a pandemic. No need to think about what you're dealing with. No, we still need to make sure we're checking up on our friends and family to see what they're dealing with. But here's what I did. I decided to take ADD and attention deficit disorder, and instead I'm going to give you how many? One, two, three, four, five, six different ways of looking at ADD. They're not in my book of affirmations, but I just came up with six different ways of us looking at it. So how can we deal with this? And the first one is recognizing ADD, that adversity determines direction. Adversity determines direction. Sometimes it's the challenges that we have in our life that put us on the path that we need to be moving on, because they're paths that we need to be moving on. Sometimes it's there's a lot going on, but it's like they say that what is it? Something is the mother of invention. Scarcity is the mother of invention, or something like that. Okay, but that's the adversity. So right now we're going through the pandemic, and that's changing a lot of people's direction. It changes what we just talked about in terms of mental health. It changes career choices. It's changing how people interact with their family, how they respond on their jobs. It's changing how some companies continue their business. Look at all of the supermarkets and some of the retail stores who have now suddenly created the pickup lanes in their parking lots. And where I saw one yesterday. They've got 3 spots, and it's now fully painted for online shopping pickup. So see, adversity determines direction. What I also say about this is recognize that change is just challenge with an LLE in the middle. See, these are changes that we're going through, but they're just challenges. And the LLE is life's learning experiences. What are some things that we're learning during this pandemic that we're going to keep? Because there's some habits that you're learning that you're going to keep. And what are you doing right already? See, you've been doing some good stuff even before this happened. And now you can say, oh, wow, because haven't we it's not like they really get on people's cases for being hoarders. But look at that. Some of the hoarders right now may have some things that were really needed. And I'm not saying go on and hoard everything, but just saying, focus on what you do right. So many people want to focus on what we do wrong. Focus on what you do right and catch yourself doing something right. Thank you, Janet. Necessity is the mother of invention. Okay, I had to click back. So think about what you're doing right now, that you've done right to lead you to such a time as this. I always like to quote Esther and Mordecai. All right. And make sure that you're continuing to do those things, because once we get out of it, you need to know what you're going to do. I also say adversity determines direction. It goes to one of my favorite acronyms, and that's STUFF. Stuff happens, STUFF, situations that unleash our focus and faith. See, so this is just some stuff that's going on in our life that's unleashing our focus and our faith. We have to focus on who we are to get through the pandemic. And isn't that part of having the faith? We say, well, look, I'm going through this. Everybody's experiencing this differently. So we're going through the same storm in different directions. So everybody's focused. How are you handling this situation? Don't worry about how somebody else is handling it. I mean, and I'm not, that's different than checking up on somebody. To make sure you're handling it well so that you can help somebody else who's handling it. And that's where the faith comes in. You have to believe, faith means that the only thing you cannot do is give up. FAITH, feeling as if there's hope. The only thing you cannot do is give up. So don't give up on yourself right now. And notice how I put you first. Don't give up on you, for everything that you're going through. What I want to do to really make this message, the adversity determines direction, stick, is read you a story that I got online, and it's called "That's What I Do." That's what I do. Death was walking toward a city one morning, and a man asks, "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to take 100 people," Death replied. "That's horrible," the man said. "Well," Death said, "that's the way it is. That's what I do." The man hurried to warn everyone he could about Death's plan. As evening fell, he met Death again. "You told me you were going to take 100 people," the man said. "Why did 1,000 die?" "I kept my word," Death responded. "I only took 100 people. Worry took the others." You see, worry is and always will be a fatal disease of the heart. Let's give Death a half a screen. Okay, worry is and always will be a fatal disease of the heart, for its beginning signals the end of faith. Worry intrudes on God's compassionate ability to provide. When we allow our problems to overshadow God's promises, we unknowingly doom ourselves to a defeat that was never part of God's eternal plans. Release the regrets of yesterday, refuse the fears of tomorrow, and receive instead the peace of today. So remember, an undivided heart which worships God alone and trusts in him as it should is raised above all anxiety for earthly wants. Simply let go and let God be God. Live this and be eternally blessed. Luke 12, I want to read to you from Luke 12 and 22, which says, "And he said to his disciples, 'For this reason I say to you, do not worry about your life as to what you will eat, nor for your body as to what you will put on. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap. They have no storeroom nor barn, and yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than the birds? And which of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his lifespan? If then you cannot do even a very little thing, why do you worry about other matters?'" So worry is a loss of faith. It's an erosion of faith. It's really important for us to recognize right now that adversity determines direction. Let go of your worry, because that's what death does. It takes people, but worry will take more. And that takes us right back to what we talked about in terms of recognizing that people, mental health is very important right now, because there's some people, we even know the term worry to death. And that's an actual truism, that you can worry yourself to death. So let's look at the next AD. Well, let me look at a comment first. Speak now. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Worry can take you out. Worry can take you out. David, thank you. Have you ever published your acronyms? Okay, right here, you see my book, Affirmations. I don't call them acronyms, I call them affirmations, because the AC is for the acronyms. The affirmations is shortening of the word affirmation, because I don't just take put a word for each letter. I make sure that the word that I use to replace the letter creates an actual meaning for the word. So even as I'm talking about adding, think about it. Adding, I'm going to come back to that because I'll take the word and sometimes turn it around and make it have turn a negative into a positive, which I started out when I used to do my speech, How to Be Ugly, which is my signature icebreaker. And then ugly is UGLY, unique, gifted, lovable you. So anyway, there's the book, David, Affirmations, and it's on my website, sportyking.com. You will definitely be able, I will definitely do an ad at the end of that and let you know that it is available for order. And it comes with a free autograph on every purchase. All right. Thank you. Thank you for asking, David. Good to see you, man. All right. So ADD is where we are, right? Adversity determines direction. And then I want you to remember to add to your life before worry subtracts all you have. Add to your life before worry subtracts all you have. Because we've already got a lot of good things going on in our lives and in our past. But we tend to do what? Focus on what we don't have. I'm going to move us right into that. You've heard me talk about you're trusting your track record and laughing at your lack record. Let me tell you what a lack record is first. A lack record is when you have something that you do or something you want to try and you think, or an opportunity that comes your way and you think you lack what it takes to take that step. You think your education isn't enough, your background, your race, your ethnicity, your circle of friends, whatever it is, your location. We put things on our record. We say, "Oh, I can't do that. I don't have what it takes. I lack what it takes to have that advancement." So that's called your lack record. Now, there are times where you say, "But you know what? I'm still going to give it a try," and you've succeeded. And you succeeded, and whether you still gave it a try or you did something else and you came out successful. Now, what you can do is recognize that your lack record was wrong. You didn't need what you thought you didn't need to have that education at that level. You didn't need to have that certain experience. So that was your lack record. So you can now laugh at your lack record for it thinking that you didn't have what it takes by being you. Remember, focus. Okay, finding ourselves creates unlimited success. That's in the stuff. Okay, so when you decide to be who you are, you will always be successful, regardless of what the paper says about what you need to have. I liken it to back in the old days when we used to have classified ads in the paper. When I used to teach my life skills class, I used to always tell them in the job skills class, I say to them, when you look at an ad for a position, it says ideal candidate will have, and they may list 5 things. And you go, you say, okay, I got that. And then you get to thing number 3. Oh, I don't have that. And then you don't even bother reading 4 and 5 because you think, oh, I don't have that. And you self-eliminate. And in fact, you may have 3 of the 5 that they require, and sometimes even 4 of the 5. But you say, I don't have 5 of 5, and so I shouldn't apply. I used to always teach my people, apply regardless. If you only have 2 of the 5, apply, because guess what? If you apply with 2 of the 5, what will the interview be about? It'll be about the 3 that you don't have and how you're going to compensate for the 3 that you don't have. Why did you dare to apply when you didn't have our 5 things? So they want to talk to you about why you think those 3 things that you didn't have, why you didn't need them, or how you can overshadow those. That's no different than what's going on in our life now. When people say you don't have this, well, so the conversation now becomes, how will you make up for the fact that you don't have it? In other words, how will you adjust? See, you have to adjust to the disruption and the deception. That's ADD. You have to make adjustments to the disruption and the deception. And the disruption is how coronavirus and COVID has disrupted our daily lifestyles of going to work. But we've made that adjustment of working from home. I was already working from home. It wasn't a huge adjustment for me. In fact, it was welcome because it gave me a chance. I moved into a new place in November, so it gave me a chance to get more comfortable with my surroundings, as well as a chance to, because I'm working on right now building up my business into the civilian world, because my business for the last 10 years has been in the military world primarily. And I'm not looking to leave my military. I want to add some civilian to it, as well as there's a great crossover because I work with the National Guard, and therefore a lot of my guardsmen are actually civilians. And if not as a surprise, that's what the National Guard and Reserve is. It's made up of civilians. So there are a lot of people who have two things going on: a civilian job and working in the military, serving in the military. Thank you and God bless you. And in fact, my book Affirmation is dedicated to my military family. The first, I have the affirmations in alphabetical order, except for any introduction. I started the introduction out with acronyms that start with military and then the branches in order: Air Force, Army, um, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard. Coast Guard was earlier. So I started it out with making it a dedication to them because so many acronyms are used in the military. And it has been such a blessing for me here, my 10 years in Charlotte. And by the way, last Friday was my anniversary. And thank those of you who wished me a happy anniversary. But that has been such a blessing for me to be serving my military family and service members. For these past 10 years, and I've grown through that experience because as I facilitated, I learned and absorbed. And that's part of the adjustment that you get to make. As you share your life, you learn about your life. As you find yourself in home with your family, now you get to learn new things about your family. You ever see that joke that said, a woman was sitting next to me. My wife was sitting next to me while I was watching a game on TV. She seems like a nice person. So remember, it is, we're learning to make these adjustments. Now, the deception, what do I mean by the deception? This deception is choosing your messengers carefully. The deception is choosing your messengers carefully because we're hearing a lot of news. Fake news depends on who you choose to listen to, okay? It's really just that simple because one group says, well, that's fake news, and the other group says, no, that's the real news, and yours is fake news. So choose your messengers carefully, but also recognize that the deception that I'm talking about is sometimes we are being misdirected from paying attention to the bigger issue by focusing on a small issue. So watch some of the concessions that are being made. I'm Black, so yeah, Black Lives Matter to me, but I want us to think about some of the things that are going on. The statues being torn down, great symbol, but does that mean that things are cured? I like the solution that they should be in museums rather than in front of certain buildings. But again, think about how great that a recruiting tool that is for racism. If someone says, someone can say to their child, you know what? They want us to erase our history so that we can respect their history. And you got to recognize, come on, the game is being played, and so that becomes a racist recruiting tool. Tear down my forefathers so that we can lift up yours. Now, is that true? I say no. They may say yes. Fake news depends on who's your messenger. So really focus on that. It takes us back to focusing on who we are and what we're listening to. Make the adjustments to the disruption and the deception, because then you've got people who act like they want to help you and they really don't have your best interests at heart. There's a lot going on, y'all. There's a lot going on. So you've got to make sure that you add to your life rather than letting worry subtract from it. And then the next ADD is accepting divine delay. Accepting divine delay. What I'm saying there is patience and pace. Patience and pace. And it goes back to what I'm saying about what we're doing and talking about our past history. As we have our talks, so you can't erase history. You can't erase history. You can add to it. I mean, if there's a part that has been eliminated, we can add to it, but we don't have to erase or negate someone else's history or values. We say, we've got the, essential people, but people's history is essential to them as well. And there's one of the things that I think about too when we think about empathy. We haven't been in the same shoes, but we sit in the same row. We're all going through something. So if we're really going to look for a solution, then a solution means that it works for everybody. And that's a very hard place to come to. So don't beat yourself up because, oh, I didn't do the right thing. What I say to you, don't contribute to racism. Don't contribute to it. You're going to have some prejudiced thoughts. Prejudice means choosing one thing over another. It doesn't have to be racist. Okay, so and that's why they say don't just be don't just be anti-racist, be non-racist. Don't just be non-racist, be anti-racism. Okay, so somebody put it in there to update me on how I should be saying that. Okay, because all of this stuff rolls into what we're talking about in terms of living our daily lives and helps us find ways to have the conversations that we need to have. Let's see if somebody, okay, I like it, Janet. We can stop repeating it. Yeah, because that's what happens is see, we learn through repetition. And so if you keep giving somebody fuel for a fire, and actually we're going to be coming to that, Janet, in a second. So spoiler alert, moving ahead, is that I'm going to talk about anger. Anger is going to be one of my A's. I don't know if it's the actual next one. Oh my God, look at that. It absolutely is. But let me finish the point on accepting divine delay. And that is your patience and your pace. Patience, recognize that God does not make any mistakes. And so we have to be patient and know that change and any kind of challenge will not come overnight. Come on, Moses. Come on, Dr. King. Come on, Gandhi. Come on, everybody who we have seen go through some changes and they just have prayed. And things have not happened in their lifetime, but they invested into things that are going to happen in our children's lifetime. So, so patience is really important. And look at this. Anger destroys direction. So I tell you, yeah, Janet, you were right on top of it. Because what did Janet say? She said, we can stop repeating it, right? See, that's what I'm saying about how anger it controls. If I can keep you angry, I can control you. And that's what anger does. It's something that gets repeated over and over. And we hear the false narrative because we haven't chosen the right messengers. So we hear the narrative that we don't want to hear, depending on who we're listening to, or that we do want to hear. Actually, my bad. We hear what we do want to hear because that's what our messenger is saying. And as we hear it over and over again, then what happens is that it becomes real for us. Roger Carroll's made a great point. We all have implicit bias. It's a part of how we navigate the world. The goal is choosing to be aware and mitigate its effects. I'm going to leave that up there for a while so you can let that soak in. We all have implicit bias, and implicit bias is just an instant reaction that we have. When you're given a choice between left and right, you say, I want to go right. I want to go left. It depends on who you are. So it's implicit because it's right there. It's a bias in terms of, think about it. A child, what does a child do? I'm going to put it in racial terms. A black child is used to looking at its black parents and its black relatives. And so that's, as it's young, that's what it sees. So the first time it sees somebody with a different color, it's a little bit uncomfortable. You know what? I don't even have to totally put it in terms of race, but I left it there. But think about it. That happens with animals. A dog sees a cat. It depends on what you've grown up to. Remember that old saying about the eagle who thought he was a chicken because he was hatched in a chicken coop and he didn't know that he could fly because he had a chicken mentality. See, so that's what you become used to. And so that's part of what implicit bias is. So you don't have to stay there. That's what Roger Carroll is saying. We have to, it's how we learn to navigate the world. And Roger Carroll, if you want to add something to it, please do. But the goal is to be aware that, hey, I'm looking at this way. There's another way for me to look at it. And I don't have to look at it negatively. I can look at it as, hey, that person, their idea is different from mine. But I'm going to respect their thought. And now can we talk about it? It's not always possible. It's not always possible. But are you going to choose to give it a try? All right. So thank you for that, Roger Carroll. And then Z, when you allow anger to control you, it tends to be directed at others that don't deserve it. And that, I think that's true, a true statement as well, because when anger controls you, I always used to use the illustration of how if I can get you angry, I can control you. Okay. It's where someone's angry at somebody. And so they're sitting and they see that person come. So they stick their foot out and they say, when they kick my foot, then I'm going to have the right to spontaneously haul off and hit them. See, so they want to act like they weren't trying to be the instigator. They want to act like they were defending themselves. So they stick their foot out and here comes the person. They like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the person doesn't step on their foot. And they're like, okay, all right. Well, when they come back the other way, I'm gonna stick my foot out further, and then when they come back the other way, then they'll do it, and then I'll haul off and hit them. And then they do the same countdown, and the person still doesn't hit them, doesn't kick their foot. So what just happened? They were in control of my mind because I did the countdown, wanting them to kick my foot, and then coming back, I stuck my body out even further. So they had my mind one way, they had my body the other way, and my mind, and they still went right past me. But so that anger, I'm focusing that anger on them. So that means they control me, and the fact that they didn't kick my foot could mean that they had no clue of what was going on. So that's why, like Zed says, they don't deserve you being angry at them. Sometimes it's just a misunderstanding. We can add all these things up, and it makes a difference. So anger destroys your direction because you forget where you need to go based on you're trying to get at someone else because of where they've gone. Anger can destroy your direction, but anger can also destroy dinner. Why do I say that? What I'm saying by that is that anger destroys dinner because we all love the Bible quote that the Lord will prepare your feast, a feast for you among your on your table, set out the table before your enemies. That's dinner. But if you're angry, then it disrupts your dinner. Because to think about it, if God is going to prepare your feast with your enemies at the table, who's at the table? Anger, cheating, lying, disruption. All of those enemies of yours are at the table. But so if you're focused on them, you won't focus on the feast that God has prepared for you. Let me go back and see what Roger Carroll said. Okay. Okay. Okay, Shirley. That was Tony. Wow. Mind and body control. Yes. That's what anger can do. I love that analogy, but that's what can happen. Okay. So back to the feast, right? So God has prepared a feast, a banquet before your enemies. I remember Stephen Furtick, my pastor at Elevation Church, he gave the greatest analogy I've ever seen of it. He had a table on the stage and he had 6 seats, 3 on each side, on either side of the table, and then 2 seats at the head and the foot of the table. And he had God at the head and you at the foot. And he said, God prepared the feast. And then he got up and he went and sat in each chair and he gave an enemy to each chair. He said, here's your enemy of anger. Here's fear. Here's worry. He sat in all of the seats. And then he showed, though, that how when God sits at the head, his focus is on you. He's ignoring them because he says, let's eat. So that's why anger can disrupt your dinner if you're sitting at the table with the people who you're angry at. So if you're sitting there crunching your teeth, you're not paying attention to the wonderful appetizer that has been put before you, the wonderful salad, the beautiful entree that God has prepared for you, and the luscious dessert, and the fine wine that he has passed along to you, because you're too busy focusing on them when they're probably sitting there, I can't believe that this person, I'm no longer in control of their mind and body. They're sitting there just enjoying this meal. I need them to focus on me. Negativity needs you to focus on it. Remember, the devil, Satan, tempted Jesus. He said, you can do this. And then Jesus said, Satan, get behind me because you don't run this. Okay. So, and even the call to a church says, will you come? Not get over here. It's will you come? So there's a lot going on in our lives, y'all. And I don't want you to get your dinner disrupted by by the ignorance and the nonsense. Let's see what we got here. Roger Carroll, you spitting today. I love us. Our brains possess neuroplasticity. It can handle a lot. Our brains are going back and forth. We don't have to be held victim by our past experiences. Slow down and choose how you're going to react. Doesn't that go back to our accepting divine delay, patience, and pace? Slow down and choose because you have that choice. Slow down and choose how you're going to react. And in fact, that becomes the challenge too. Is are you reacting? Are you reacting or are you proactive? And that's a challenge that we may have sometimes. So, really think about what you're going to do. And here's my last for ADD, and that is always delight in Dios. Dios is Spanish for God. And I just said, so always delight in Dios. But how about this? God speaks every language. So trust in God no matter what the language. Always delight in God. That's what we're talking about. Recognize that He hears your prayers. No matter what language you say your prayers in, God's hearing. Hears your prayers. He even hears your prayers when they're in fear instead of faith. Oh God, please help me. I say to people, pray in faith, not fear. Knowing that what you're praying is going to come. And it's not going to come. It's not going to look the way you want it to look, but it's coming. God hears your prayers. God didn't answer my prayer. Yes, He did. Maybe He didn't answer it yet. Remember what Roger Carroll just said? It's choosing when you're going to let it happen. Patience. And I said patience and pace. And then what Tony said, stay focused on the substance and not the things that subtract from your substance. Oh, God, you got the end of my message where I said again to make sure that you add to your life rather than before worry subtracts all that you have. Okay, so stay focused on the substance of life, the things that allow you to delight in God and what He's bringing into your life. Remember, that takes us to our track record of all the storms that God has taken us through. And we can trust our track record, laugh at our lack record, because the only thing you cannot do is give up. That's what you lack. You lack to give it up. You lack the weakness that it takes to surrender. And I don't want to call you a weak person, but recognize that we all have weaknesses. What we want to do is focus on our strengths. Isn't that what Janet said earlier? Repetition. See, if you repeat something, if you keep talking about your weakness, you honor your weakness, and then you become even more weak. If you keep talking about your strengths, you honor your strengths, and you become stronger. So let's get focused on our strengths. Let's repeat the messages that build us up and that build those up around who are around us. Because as you build yourself up, you build up the people around you. It's a slow process, y'all. But if we let all of those ADDs come together in our lives, we'll find out. Let's do flashes on them. We'll find out that any diversity that changes our direction is something that we can handle because we make the adjustments regardless of what is disrupting our lives and who's trying to deceive us. We have chosen good messengers and we make the changes we need. We know that we don't allow anger to accepting divine. We know that we have to do this by accepting divine delay, having the patience and waiting on God to bless us as He will do because we are children of God. So we stay away from the anger that can destroy the direction that He has made, the path that He has made for your life. He's never made a straight path with, devoid of bumps. You will have some bumps along the way. That's your track record. Remember that? So recognize that anger will disrupt that feast because that's what your direction is saying. Go through the bumps because I got a feast for you. So come on down, sit down and enjoy your food. And always know that God speaks to you in whatever language you need to speak to Him in. He understands you. That's why He's called God, G-O-D, God, guide, granting our destiny and granting our direction constantly. And I know I probably threw in a lot of different affirmations that I don't necessarily have printed up for you. And in fact, those ADDs, those are not in my book. Those will be in the next edition. That's part of what the book will do for you as well, is make you start to release your creativity and you'll start to find different ways that you can use ADD or different acronyms in your life, and find themes that'll work in your conferences, in your business meetings, in your family reunions, all of those things. The book has a great amount of uses. It's a great resource. So make sure that if you like a copy of the worry inspiration that I read, the joke about worry and death and worry, just send me, or the cartoon, send me that request at sporty@sportyking.com, and I'll send you a copy of that, how worry is what takes us out over death. And if you like a copy of that cartoon, I'll be happy to send you that as well. Okay. The book, again, thank you, David, for asking earlier, but you can find that at sportyking.com. I will end this broadcast by reminding you that it's not easy. It's not easy. Yet, this is an addiction that we can have that will make us believe in glue, the fact that God's love undoes everything. Let's get addicted to who we are so that we can make sure that we can add to our life before we allow worry to subtract all that we have. Thanks for checking out Glue. Again, let's see if we got and God bless you. We all have blind spots. Yes, we all have blind spots as well. Thankful that God allows others to spot them to help keep us focused on what's ahead. And now let me add to that, that also becomes the key to us focusing on ourselves and choosing your messenger carefully, because somebody will spot your blind spot as a way to tear you down. But if you've chosen the right messenger, now they will spot your blind spot as a way to lift you up. I had a friend who I just met at a meeting at an online meeting, and networking. We were talking on the phone, and I said to her, I told her, I said, you know what? I said, you're asking me questions, but when I answer, you cut me off. And she was like, wow. I said, yeah. I said, look, we can make this thing work, because we're talking about how we can, network and help one another's business go. But she didn't realize that she was talking so much that whenever she said, and so you think about that. And I said, well, you know what? I think we could do. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I spotted that, and she thanked me because she said, I'm just in the habit of doing that. And I said, don't worry about it, because I'm in the habit of listening. That's why I call myself the master of listening. But at some point, I will let you know that, what, you're talking yourself out. You're talking yourself out of a deal. The number one communication skill is listening. So and that goes back to what Roger Carroll said about the implicit bias. You can't change your past experiences, but you can listen to what's going on. That when she talked about how we have to choose to mitigate, you can't make a choice until you listen. So listening is the number one communication skill. Let's make sure that we listen and bring forth the peace that we want, and recognize that we are a part of the peace. We are a part of the peace. And it may not come until we're gone. Come on, Moses. That's what I like to say. He still believed in what God had planned and said. So if you believe that God is going to bring peace, then go on and do your part to plant your seed. And may our children and our ancestors to be, may they sprout forth and benefit from it as well. So thanks again for joining me on Glue Wednesday, on Glue Monday, where we found out that we definitely can add. I appreciate you. And this was cool because I had it going as a watch party as well. So we'll see how that worked. All right. Y'all have a wonderful week. Ciao.